Welcome to Face the State. I'm Ariana Bennett. Thank you for joining us. Well, recreational marijuana is now officially on sale legally in Nevada. And if the first few days of sales are any indication, it is going to be a very successful industry. Now, if you haven't been inside a dispensary, we'll start by taking you on a quick tour to show you how the legal selling process works. If you happen to drive past the midnight opening for recreational marijuana sales, any doubt about the popularity of this new industry would have gone up in smoke.
I just bought the first weed I've ever bought legally.
Oh, it's crazy. I didn't know I'd see it in my lifetime, but it's great now. For
now, the only legal sellers are the local dispensaries, now expanding their businesses from just medical to all adult use.
So it's going to be $44.80.
Recreational business is a little different. There's a 1 ounce or 100 milligram limit on recreational sales.
98.8, so this would be available for adult use consumption, purchasing.
And an extra excise tax.
We have everywhere from a gram up to a full ounce of the flower.
But at Bloom, they say the process runs just like their medical sales, which means a check-in at the front desk, 2 separate waiting areas, and multiple levels of security before the customer even sees any marijuana.
This is the bud bar, and so patrons and patients will come into this room, meet one-on-one with the bud tender. It's not just a free-for-all, here you go, we actually take the time and educate people on what cannabis is and how it does help you.
It's like a medicated Kool-Aid per se, like a juice drink. Each capful is how you dose it.
And it looks like a lot more people will be drinking that Kool-Aid.
A lot of people and excitement and a bunch of unity and togetherness, and it was awesome.
Okay, so if you are going to be one of those people joining in on adult use marijuana, what do you need to know so that you can do it safely? I'm joined here with Michael Alvarez and Lucas Farrell, both with Bloom Dispensary, to talk about all of this. Thank you both so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having us.
All right, I think this is really important and interesting because what we saw on opening night proved that we're going to have a lot of people using adult use marijuana, right?
Absolutely.
So describe for me, from your perspective, what that was like. Because I drove by and I saw a line longer than Krispy Kreme opening.
Exactly. We had people lined up since about 2 in the afternoon, and it went all the way up until midnight till we opened our doors. The first sale was right at 12:01. The line was excited. They were so excited to be there. They were waiting for this. They've been waiting for this. Prohibition is over, and so that's what we experienced. They were just excited.
Yeah, for me, it was just everything I'd ever hoped for. I totally expected a big turnout. I was super happy to be a part of it. It's certainly history in the making. I think personally, from each state that has legalized cannabis, that maybe Nevada has maybe had the biggest turnout from what I've seen so far. But I'm just ecstatic.
Okay. Now, when we spoke before the opening night, you told me you expected about a 250% increase in business. Are you revising that number now?
Just a little bit, yeah. It was about 700% from a typical night on a Saturday night.
And has it been that way since then? I mean, or has it tapered off?
It has decreased the second night, and into the third night it'll continue to taper down. I think it was the holiday weekend as well, and so.
So still busy though.
Still busy.
Okay, so tell me what's going on with the products. You guys have this crazy array of options, everything from more traditional stuff that you expect, the pre-rolled things, and then to edibles, but there's been such a run on product. You guys are you running out?
We're not running out yet. We still have we're adequately staffed, adequately stocked. We knew that there was going to be a run for products, and so we've made a huge move into acquiring those products, so that way we can service both our medical patients and our new patrons.
Yeah. Now the new patrons, are you finding that it's a wide range of people who have done it for years, or new people sampling? Are you getting a lot of first timers?
Absolutely. There's a ton of people coming in, mostly seniors, saying we've been waiting for this for 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. Even my father, I was speaking to him just the other day when I was leaving. I was taking off. And he said the same thing. He was just ecstatic. So I invited him on down to come and join in on everything and talk with the people there. So he enjoyed it as well, but mostly seniors for sure.
Wow.
Some of our patrons I even heard saying that they never thought they'd see this day in their lifetime.
Yeah, no, we've heard that as well. What about people coming in saying, I never wanted to try it when it wasn't legal because I didn't want to run afoul of the law or whatever, but now I'm curious. Are you getting that yet?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, sure.
they're still coming in a little nervous.
Yeah.
Even though we've explained it, there's been shows talking about what to expect and how how to come in, and they're coming, they're just weary. They're like, here's my license. And they're just standoffish a little bit. They're just not sure what to expect, and welcome in with that smile and just talking to them and saying, let them know that they're in a safe place, and we'll help them through this process.
And that's partly what I wanted to do with this episode too, because with a lot of people sampling, especially those who are used to maybe the marijuana of the 1960s, going to a dispensary is a very different experience, and the products are very different from what they used to be. So if we can give them like a little primer on kind of like a marijuana 101, I think that's the best thing we can do here. So let's start with the difference between the types of marijuana.
Well, you have three different types of strains of marijuana. You have sativas, hybrids, and indicas. Hybrids are going to be the combination of both a sativa and an indica, so you get the best of both worlds. But there's multiple types of strains within each category. So generally, a sativa is uplifting and energizing. An indica is more sedating and better on the body, better for pain. A hybrid, so you're getting both of those qualities, so it's better for maybe early evening or just trying to mitigate pain while staying, uplifted at the same time. But I think what's most important, what we're finding more and more about every day, is going to be about terpenes. Those are the essential oils in cannabis that give it its flavor and smell. They also have medicinal value as well. They have effects that they have on their own, like linalool. It's in lavender. You have myrcene in mangoes. You have caryophyllene in pepper. All of these things have their own traits and qualities that we've known from studying just through research and science. So adding those in with the certain strains of cannabis, you get this synergistic effect that 1 + 1 is 3 and not just 2, that it's more than just equal parts coming together to make an equal sum. It's more than that. So.
Okay, and then it's also, you got to consider amounts of THC, and then you have products that are more CBD heavy. Can you explain the difference there?
Absolutely. Strains nowadays are through the roof. They can get up to 30%, whereas back in the day they were like 5 to 10% THC. So you definitely want to take it easy. You don't want to overdo it. You can, induce, some panic attack or something negative if you overdo it. But that's the good thing about CBD is that it mitigates any negative effect that THC may have on you. That's what we're learning more and more every day. The thing about CBD is that with the presence of THC, it's that same general idea that it's synergistic, that it's more effective, that you're going to get more benefit than just using THC or just using CBD. It's better together for sure.
But for those who maybe want the benefits of, say, pain management or something like that from the CBD, can you do that without the high?
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
So how does that work? What kind of products are we talking about?
Well, you can get like a CBD topical, like a Truderm salve. You can get Apothecana lotion, or you can do True Balance tincture, those sorts of things as well. The beautiful thing about CBD is that it really tries to seek to get your body to equilibrium. It just wants you to be at a nice, clean slate so that you're in a good position for health, so you can be healthy. That's really what it's doing for you.
So you get the relaxation elements without the psychoactive?
Right.
Okay.
And one thing about CBD is that it's an all natural pain, all natural anti-inflammatory. So if you're someone who's been on oxy or a prescription pain pill and just jumping right to CBD, it's not going to have that same pain relieving effect. But people who are taking aspirins and Tylenol and ibuprofens because of they have swelling and they're in pain, taking CBD will help mitigate that pain because it's taken away that inflammation. And so you will find pain management there. The ones that are on higher prescriptions, that's where we start looking at the THC levels.
Okay. Now I want to talk about edibles because I think this is probably the biggest difference between, the weed of the 1960s and now, because they can be very, very strong, and it's really easy to get a high dose and a small amount of edible. So what's your best advice to someone who might be trying edibles?
Well, and that's where I want to start and make sure people understand is back in the day, as you were mentioning, the cannabis of the 60s, is that that was all black market. There was not the testing that you would know. So if you went to a dealer back in the 60s, 70s, 80s and say, what is the THC testing at, they would not be able to tell you. In today's market, you do know that. So you know exactly when you're getting those edibles, how much THC is in that, what you're consuming. So what we advise is patients and patrons to start small, give it 2 hours and see how it affects you. So if something's dosed at 10 milligrams for rec patients, it is dosed at 10 milligrams a serving. try half of it. Give it 90 minutes. Give it to 2 hours and see how your body absorbs it and how it affects you. 10 milligrams for me is going to be different for you if I have eaten and had a full stomach and you have not eaten, so it's going to affect you differently. So know your number, so that way you can try and just work your way up to it. So start small and then work up to it.
So is then 5 milligrams a good place to start?
Everybody's different, but normally about
If
5.
if you've never used an edible or had cannabis edibly before, definitely start at 5. Start low, because you can always eat more and never less. That's kind of the rule of thumb. So you never want to overdo it, just a little bit at a time.
And then how long do you need to give it before it's okay for you to operate a car, for example? Or should you plan to just not be operating machinery for a while?
I would suggest not planning on going out on the streets for sure after eating an edible. I mean, probably want to sleep before anything.
So how long, how many hours?
Well, it depends on how much you've actually consumed, so it's hard to say an actual time. It would be depending on your body and how you're feeling. It's hard to say give you a specific time, because everyone's different. How they ingest it and how their body absorbs it and works through it is going to be different for you than it will be for me, or for someone who's 90 pounds will be different from everybody, especially how much they've taken.
So a good rule of thumb, just don't plan on doing
Stay
it and then having
home.
a
Save the edibles for a nice open day.
Okay, because it does. It lasts longer than smoking it, right?
It does, yes.
Correct.
Like quite a bit longer.
Because it's a higher amount of percentage you're consuming.
Right. Okay. What other advice, we have probably 2 or 3 minutes left, what other advice do newbies need about doing this right, safely?
Well, the biggest thing for me is just being responsible with it, because this is a really, very nice gift we were given. We really fought for it, and I think we earned it, but at the same time we need to respect it, and just, not being out in the streets and, throwing it in people's face, still being respectful. There's still people who voted against it. I'm all about it, but I would like to keep this going and not have any negative outlook on cannabis in that respect. So yeah, just continuing to respect it.
And knowing where you can consume. Consume in the privacy of your own home. You're not allowed to consume out on the streets. You're not allowed to consume while driving or in a vehicle. Consume at home, so that way be responsible with what you're what you're consuming.
Okay, last 30 seconds. Any final message you want people to know about all this?
Come on down, please take a look. I think, come on down.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it, if you come inside and take a look at our facility, that anxiety of first time will go away. You'll see how knowledgeable the team is, how open they are to bringing people in and educating. Every one of our patrons goes in front of a bud tender, so they're going to be talking to a trained professional that has been dealing in cannabis, and we'll be able to take that anxiety away.
All right, thank you both so much. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Okay, well, coming up on Face the State, along with knowing what to buy and how much, if you're going to use recreational marijuana, you do need to know the laws. So I'll speak with the police about the rules and penalties right after the break.